VariantsOnly is playing 264brocc, two title players in standard chess. This is Crazyhouse World Championship Candidates match, d4, d5. VariantsOnly going for a quick exchange of bishop for knight. Interesting. And we're in the live position. So yeah, the bishop is definitely needed for defense, because this pawn structure looks a little weak, but also quite hard to target for now. Can I show the light? Oh, sorry. Yeah, this needs to be taken out. I'm sorry about this. There we go. Sorry about that. You're welcome, Chuckles TV. Thanks for notifying me. So VariantsOnly's gone to a bit of a think, because a move like knight here would be nice if it weren't for the fact that the bishop's covering this square. So it's a question of, how do I get back control? Like, white doesn't have any material in hand, but notice white's got really good control of these squares around the king side. So it's a case of, how does black improve his position without giving white material? Yeah, so stuff like this would actually not work, because takes, and takes here. So that's why the knights come here. And usually in Crazyhouse you want to put pieces around your king, because the king, so if white hadn't taken here, that knight might have tried to reroute towards the king side. So notice how 264brocc takes that knight with purpose, and his purpose is simply to wreck black's kingside, take on g7, maybe put a pawn on g5, and that's a really good staging post for an attack. Hi there, Saxitter. Rook e1 feels slow. I think take c6, knight at h5, well that's what came, was better. Now knight at f5 I was expecting. Knight at f5, new knight at f5 was also possible, yeah. Yeah, so knight on f5 looks... Well, it was good earlier, but obviously bishop takes knight in the current position. But earlier, I think knight f5 defended by this knight. So Saxitter is none other than Opperweisen. I'm sure he doesn't mind people knowing that. So it's quite possible you've played Bughouse. Okay, so black sacks a piece for a pawn to try and get an in on the position. I don't think white's going to take, he's just probably going to sidestep, but that is going to give VariantsOnly a rook, and he quite likes to have rooks. He also likes giving up rooks. So he did something surprising. He did take on f3, and this creates a weakness on g2. So, and now he's had to give back the piece yeah, he's generous with rooks, but he's quite good with, you know, getting his rook out and sacking it and doing stuff. Yeah, thanks Abunikabi for alerting people I'm streaming it. So what you have to be worried about as white is the light squares being quite open. But hang on a second, it looks like white's attack might be faster. If you just think about, if white could play two moves, takes and knight here is checkmate. Okay, but you can't play two moves, because takes, knight takes, queen would defend the mate. But still, knight takes knight. This is looking... So, knight takes knight, so you have to just be a little bit careful about these light squares around the king, but I don't think black has anything too threatening. So yeah, takes, and interestingly, he doesn't want to risk a direct attack on his king with knight at f3 or something. So he goes defensive. Because the attacking approach would be trying to hit the queen. I don't think that would be very risky. And now white is one pawn short of having an amazing position. Well, now he's getting a queen for a piece, and he doesn't even want it. So very difficult position for VariantsOnly to play. So he takes the queen. Where is the finish? He wants queen takes knight, and queen here checkmate. That's the kind of move he's looking for. Bishop takes pawn isn't a direct mate threat. Or is it? Queen at g7 is a mate threat. But so VariantsOnly, okay, we got drawing this king up the board. He's going to get mated for sure. Yep, and there's the checkmate. So 264brocc takes the first game with the white pieces. And we have a Scandi. And we saw yesterday VariantsOnly playing the Scandi, putting the queen on e6, check. That's one way of playing it. A very safe way of playing it is going on d8. But the most principled thing to do is what 264brocc has done just now, is put the queen away on a5. But this is also the most theoretical. And this knight is being challenged early because it has no really good squares to go to. Maybe here or here. But then d4 is coming, and white gets a very big center. If you go here, the problem is sometimes this comes, and it's very hard to develop this bishop. And if you go here, the problem is this knight, if ever it goes here, it can be taken. It opens up weaknesses on f6. So if it goes here, usually it's thinking of even sacrificing itself at some point. So this is all theory, basically, still. Yeah. So the point... And something to say about this queen on a5. It's a little bit out of the game, but in Crazyhouse you have to be willing to give up your queen for a piece. So not in this position, but there are positions where that queen would very happily take that knight, and just to create some nice attack. So black was threatening pawn at a3, which is why white has pushed a3 himself. The threat was pawn at a3, pushing that bishop back, and then another pawn. Looking, he doesn't have the pawn yet, but trying to get another pawn, maybe with something like this, and dropping it on. These sorts of ideas. Phoenix asks, can the engines beat the top players? And the answer is yes. The engines are stronger than the human players, but human players have better quick intuition about things. But the reason why computers are better is because they can see the mates in 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whereas the humans play moves and they know there's a mate. Like humans will see there's a mate in 18 here. They don't know it's a mate in 18, but they've got a good feeling for it. Whereas the engine doesn't sense that danger in the same way that the very best humans can sense danger. But what the computers have is just awesome calculation. Oh yeah, so Lucas Schacht points out there will be a Crazyhouse 960 shield on pychess.org on Monday, and it will be the October shield. And I think the last two were both won by Zixon from Sweden. So pychess.org, I recommend everyone just heads over to that site sometime and just presses login, and it will say authenticate your Lichess login. Just tell us who you are on Lichess, and you put that in. or if you're not logged into Lichess, you just enter your Lichess log. You're redirected to Lichess to log in, and you can play automatically over on PyChess, and it's like a sister site to the Lichess site. So about the handicaps, no, the problem is with Crazyhouse. So the handicap, so probably against the top players, a handicap would mean a lot, but in a complex position, you could be a whole queen down, and it just doesn't matter. So it's like I don't know if it's important. One should think about points. I mean, it's so probably the top players would know how to play 3 pawns up somehow, somehow restrict material and so on. But it's difficult to think in those terms. So that's an idea, but this comes with check. And e3 is always a potential weakness. So if takes, but you don't have time because this is also a potential weakness. If it's okay, I'm just going to just backtrack a little bit. So there's queen d2. Okay, so black's weakness is on a3. White protects that weakness. Now what is the plan is to open up a hole on g2. So blocks. So really white's insisting I have a big center. Takes. So this is really white's up another pawn, insisting on the big center. And 264brocc is trying to put pressure on this d5 square. And that's protecting with an attack, which is always nice. Let's try and catch up the chat. Yeah, it's true. Most of the candidates are not that theoretical. But now this was interesting. So if queen takes, bishop takes, black was very safe. Now this is suddenly interesting. Does white have something here? f7, king d8 still seems like black is holding on fine. Looks like white doesn't have what he thought he had. And suddenly this powerful knight is being dislodged. Yeah, and the problem is there's not only theory, but there's playability. So there's some theoretical moves which are theoretically good, but they're not very playable. So someone was asking about the 3 pawns. Yeah, so the issue with Crazyhouse is a lot of Crazyhouse positions are not decided by the opening at all. They get into a situation where the evaluation will swing from black has mate to white has mate to black has mate to white has mate. And you don't get that in standard chess. You don't get such, or you do actually, but you don't get it to such an extent. These really sharp positions where if you just make one tiny mistake, suddenly your opponent is completely winning. And that is the big difference between Crazyhouse and standard chess. So you can be completely losing, and the good players will still swindle a win. So this is obviously has to be defended. So no time to take the queen. I would have. Yeah, this can't be right, can it? So 264brocc is claiming you don't have a pawn. So white surely has something here. But he goes for the queen, and I still don't see it. If he had a pawn as well, a queen and a pawn. Ouch. So if king in the corner, queen here. So queen here, and that's mate. Okay. So VariantsOnly does take his game as white. He holds serve. Yeah, so interesting. So basically, as a general rule, if anyone is new to Crazyhouse, don't play the Sicilian, or don't play c5 in Crazyhouse. But this is interesting. This is d4 c5. And I saw this popularized by Crazy Home when he was a player on the site, and it is sometimes playable, but as a principle, as a beginning player, you don't want to play this because d6 is a real weakness. But it's clearly VariantsOnly trying to get out of book against 264brocc, because he obviously thinks he can do better in unfamiliar positions. But if two intermediate players were playing this, white's got a huge advantage. Now, sorry, I'm going to just... So I'm just going to... This is going too fast for me a moment. So black is giving up this knight. And okay, it's eye on f2, defends f2, takes... I don't know. Black is playing very strangely, because if you look, he's down 2 pieces for a couple of pawns. So it's really... But if you look at white, he hasn't developed a single piece from his back rank. Like, what is this? I'd say white just having 2 pieces extra and can just put those pieces in hand on the board, and it's not as if black is so well developed either. But this is slightly annoying. So another pawn is landing on e3, and then another pawn is landing on f2. So already this is a little bit annoying for white, but white surely has to be better. Saxeter says he reckons this is prep. Prep for who? Prep for black? Well, okay. Don't think so, but... Oh, there is... Okay, I hadn't noticed. There is pawn at g2 in this position. That is annoying, because you can't defend, and he doesn't play it. A pawn at g2 is surely a miss. He did play it quite fast, that's true. I think that's sort of false confidence. I think he's pretending it's prep. So here he's contemplating, do I take or do I throw in the check and pick up the queen? And he does go for this route. Yeah, this looks... Well, black only has pawn in hand, so this does look very menacing. So you're threatening to take the queen and dump the queen on f8. Well, yeah, if it were prep, I'm not sure. It wasn't pawn at b2 much stronger than pawn at e3, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being too materialistic. Because you're getting a whole queen on the back rank, but you don't even want to, and then you can sack it for another knight. So you're winning a rook and a knight at least. Okay, so he's winning a queen. You've just got to make sure a knight's not mating him, basically. Okay, steps up. Takes. Don't see any knights mating him just yet. Don't even think 2 knights are mating him just yet. And hang on, what? And he wins this bishop. Okay, yeah. So there could be some back rank ideas, even at some point. So queen here. Let's just calculate. Takes. You then put a bishop here, blocks rook here. I don't think you've quite got enough. Queen here, though, would be better. Yeah, that also seems to work. But queen here was stronger because he can't then take that pawn. But then opponent gets a queen, so it's a bit scary. So maybe this was a safer way of playing it. And here the threat is to take here and to take here and put a knight here. And I think he's going to do it now. So to go all in, does he have enough basically? So to take here, as long as you're not getting mated, you have to be careful. But yeah, I think we're going to see this. Okay, so he's going for this knight check. That knight check... Hey, that knight check looks so close to mate. So he does sidestep. Yeah, that was risky. Because if you just take with the pawn, knight here, check, king back, pawn here is checkmate. And if you take with the king, you're surely getting into some difficulty. So getting out the way. Now you've got to be careful. You can never land on this square, or you... Oh. I think there's a mistake. He should have tried to get that with check. But I guess he thought he couldn't. But now surely... yeah, there's a mate here now. Yeah, and white finds it. I'm not sure if we should quickly have a look. So after here, knight takes queen doesn't feel right. Does black have anything? And the answer is no, there's nothing. And just in this position, was queen at c8 so terrible? No, it's also winning. So both moves were very, very good. So strong game again from 264brocc. And I'm not going to look whether it was prep or not, because integrity of the match, yada yada. We should be in the same state of ignorance as the players as to the value of the opening until after the match. Well, that's what I think anyway. Because I'm doing a live stream here, so I've got no delay, and my philosophy is I don't think the players would learn anything from watching my stream. So we're going to see this again. Likely queen d2 was the approach last time. That seems to work quite well to try and block off this pin. Rook b1, does that work? So the idea is if you take, pawn at a3, back off, I think. Yeah. So yeah, as Saxota says, I think VariantsOnly was down a bit too much material. And Saxota is saying that, or I'll say Oppa is saying that this is preferable. This is preferable for black compared to the version last time, where white put a pawn on e5, which is the more theoretical move in this position. So here there's a clear threat, takes, and then takes. And also there's Saxota saying there's also at e4 ideas. So at least you've got your king out the way. You're losing either this piece or you've got a fork here, or you could have both. You've got takes and pawn here, or takes twice. Okay, now you have to defend pawn e4. So white is down, let's calculate, he's down a piece for a pawn. It's not too bad because he's got his king castled, so that's a fair trade. I think white's doing quite decently here. And so what's the idea? So Oppa was suggesting, just taking a little bit earlier, Oppa was suggesting bishop b5 check and then bishop b4, because then the queen is trapped. But maybe you could do something like pawn, bishop b5, pawn here, bishop b4, queen takes bishop, rook takes, pawn takes bishop. That was the sort of line that Oppa was considering. So you get two pieces for the queen, which in Crazyhouse is a fair exchange. So instead, VariantsOnly is going this way, and he's harassing the queen. So arguably that's even better, because noticing he's putting all his pieces on the board and sort of dominating the position. And look at black. Look at the development. So suddenly, white could really just stamp his authority on this game. And Oppa's got a very creative idea in this position of pawn at g6. Just go straight for it, which is interesting because you're controlling the dark squares and you just want to try and get in on the light squares, and you have two pawns in hand. So if he takes ever, put a pawn on f7, or yeah, I think so, and then you're basically almost a pawn away from mate. So very interesting idea there from Oppa. So okay, real trouble for 264brocc. also aka cabbage in this position. He gives up the queen, and VariantsOnly is just going in. He could even save his knight. So for those, yeah, it is 10 games exactly in the candidates, but in the double elimination, if one player's clearly won, then it's quite usual for the games to stop. But I can't type and stream very easily, so hopefully they're listening to the stream, or someone listening to the stream can tell them. So what's wrong with simply king takes knight? This feels. I would have saved this knight myself, but I'm just materialistic and not necessarily. Ooh, I was expecting. Okay, now once you take, you can't go king takes knight because the g7 square opens. But hang on a second. So why was king takes knight so bad? I see why. Maybe because this is a problem. But okay. So takes, knight takes, and drop a pawn, and the knight comes back. Okay, so basically the dark squares are collapsing. Yeah, so basically everyone's saying white is completely crashing here, whatever he does, basically, because he's controlling all the squares, basically, in this half of the board, in this 3/4 of the board even. And I mean, you can even just go and that would be the GSVC move, as it were. Any trades help white, as Oppa says. There we go. Where did it all go wrong for black? I mean, letting the queen get chased around. You never let the queen get chased around. That's a really bad idea. Like, if you're going to get chased around, just give it up. But that's too dangerous, probably. But you just don't want to get chased around, basically. It's just a very important Crazyhouse principle. If you're getting chased around, you're losing so many tempi but okay, Cabbage is a very good defender, so I suspect he's going to still last another 7 moves at least in this completely lost position. Okay, maybe I'm being way too optimistic, but he really is an incredible defender. Okay, he just resigns. Yeah. Okay, that's more realistic. So what's the score? Sorry, the score is 2-2. I'm sorry that because of the... I could have set the board layout so you can see it. It's just... because Litas seems to have made it more reasonable now, because before they put it too far away, and so... now my screen's the wrong size. Okay, let me try and do it. Okay, I don't actually need this at all, so okay, sorry about the fiddling. I'm trying to get this perfect. So Lita seems to have changed their design again so that I can actually show the scores nicely. There we go. Yeah, and now you can see the viewers as well. Lucas Shack says, even if there's something good in this line, it would drain my soul to play these positions. Yeah, they're playing this again. So yeah, the score's 2-2. So, like, okay, so what is... Maybe Opera is right that this is prep. Takes. So we've... Ah, okay. He's not sacking the second piece. Interesting. Okay. So this is really good, interesting, because the idea is to get that bishop open, push d5. So black has got some nice ideas here. Oh, oops. He's missed knight d6. Yes, okay, so this is not prep at all. Yeah, he's just realized. Oh my goodness. That is depressing. Oh. Because it really looks pretty to have these bishops along this long diagonal. He's going to have to do this to try and deflect that knight and then take here. Oh, this is painful. He has got some combination. Yeah, like, that doesn't even work, but takes queen here and takes here. But it doesn't work because bishop here. Oh, God. So bishop takes pawn, king takes. You think you've got queen here check, but then you have bishop here. Oops. So he's going for scholar's mate. Good luck. Good luck with that. And immediately stopped with an attacking move. And still, I mean, is white going to win this game without moving a piece off the back rank? That's that would be the challenge here for 264brocc. Can you? So it's 2 games all. Game on. Can white win this position without moving a single piece off his back rank? That would be funny. I mean, black only has a pawn in hand, so it's almost worth taking on that challenge. Okay, so he has a pawn and a bishop. He's still going for it. He's just 264. He's still going for the win without moving a piece off the back rank. Okay, I think he's going to break it now. Or is he? Let's see. Because if you move that knight, a pawn lands here, so you don't really want to move the knight. So you probably want to develop something as white here. But okay. So what's... Yeah, if pawn takes knight, they're interesting ideas of takes, rook here. Yeah, I'm not sure it's enough. So this was actually brilliant because it was defending c2. I didn't notice that. It was defending c2 as well. Ah, he's left open this. I think this is a rigged game. They're just playing it to make sure that white can win without. Okay, we're going to see this. We're going to see a win without moving a piece off the back rank. I think. Let's see. Has he got? He just needs another diagonal or something. 8 seconds off the clock. So king takes knight. Is there something? Yes, there was. Queen there and queen takes pawn. Honestly, that was amazing. So here, knight takes pawn looks interesting. Maybe it's not enough. Oh, he's going for the back rank. So queen on the back rank. And then takes. Oh, just bishop takes rook. Okay, so can we see a mate here? Can we see a mate? Can we see a mate? So queen here is the mate threat. Oh, he's had to move a piece. How sad. But he gets the mate. Okay. Close. Well, the king moved, but maybe you could say the king doesn't count. Bishop c4 was not needed, says Oppa. Oh, so close to... I mean, that has to be one of the... highlight games just because you're winning... Okay, winning without moving a piece is sort of like... of course, in reality, you should be developing every piece and using all of your resources. But white was winning so much, he could just keep on using the material in hand, keep on recycling his opponent's pieces. Oh yeah, so Zarazar is actually informing us that there will be a very exciting stream on Wednesday night at 1800 UTC. So that's 1900 UK time, probably 2000, so 8 p.m. European time. Or in the afternoon so 2 p.m. in the afternoon Eastern time, which will be an interview with Zixon, who may still be the Crazyhouse Shield, the current Crazyhouse Shield winner, and he's in the Crazyhouse World Championship. So that will be very interesting. So yeah, d5, all the pieces seem ready, takes c6 and maybe takes d7. Yeah, this is looking very dangerous. Okay, if it's okay, I'm just going to quickly back up. So we see a Scandi, we see the queen. This bishop, notice that has a purpose. Not only this pin, it's also cutting that queen from coming over to the king side. So d4, d5 is what, yeah, this is what Oppa said, just going all in. Now usually this is very dangerous because black is getting a queen potentially. Okay, but not immediately, because queen takes d7 as a mate threat. So there are all kinds of double checks in this position, and if you castles, maybe even pawn takes bishop, and if rook takes rook here, have you quite got mate? It's sort of very close. So 264brocc already in trouble here as black. And as Oppa says, if you take here, pawn at f7 and knight here. And again, notice the power of this bishop actually cutting off. The queen literally has very few squares. So it's in these kinds of positions. Well, the queen can take the knight whenever it wants to, but now that this has come. But the queen is temporarily really cut out of the game. And that's having an effect because the queen is no longer defending the black king. That's what's causing the difficulties. So we're going to see this. Pawn f7. So he doesn't take, because you don't want to walk into a knight check. So that's fine. But the problem is there's this knight check. Huh. Why does he not? Okay, he doesn't. He wants to keep that bishop protected. But otherwise that knight is hanging. So why not use the existing knight? Because then if he comes here, you can go knight takes pawn. No, you can't. Queen defends. Okay, so yeah, ignore me. I didn't see what was going on here. So again, there's a mate in one threat. Okay, so that's blocked. So I guess the reason he didn't go knight here is he wanted to keep the d file open. So that is a logical reason. But notice he has two knights hanging here. So if he doesn't find the mate, he looks like he's found it. Pawn and promote and smother is the idea, and that's it all over. Yeah, that's it. The king can't come up because the knight protects it. King has to go here or here. Pawn here check would be mate. If you go here, so you go here, but then pawn promote, and the knight comes in for the smothered. You block. Pawn check here, promote, block, and knight here, smothered mate. So black resigns, and VariantsOnly takes it to 3-3. So was it? Rematch offer sent, but not. So how forcing was all of this? So this was all good for white for sure. Plus 45, and knight at f5 is the top move, the top engine move. So just to see, why is knight 2 here not quite so good? So go king to d8, and then at f7 maybe, or bishop takes c6 has happened in the game. But you've blocked off this d file, so it makes things more complicated for you. So the way he played it is actually much nicer. And if you go here, the problem is at f7 comes. So that's very painful. So here, takes, tries to block, takes, knight here check, and very nice finish. So that's the halfway stage. It's this again. VariantsOnly is sticking to this. So it must be he has a lot of respect for 264brocc's theory, and so he's playing something unusual. Oh, good night, Chuckles, because you're saying you're watching from Australia. Nice to see you. Shouldn't I update the stream title? I should, shouldn't I? Yeah, so we, as a prelude to this, we were doing a very instructive stream about cookie cramming, but you're absolutely right. Now we're watching two title players who are both very good at Crazyhouse battle it out. And I'm just gonna yeah, so Twitch was hacked, so all kinds of things are down right now. Such as apparently apparently I can't even change the title. Nightbot unable to authenticate. Wonderful. Oh well, I'm sure people when they log in they won't be too disappointed. And if you want to see the cookie cramming instructive section of the video, that will be up on the VOD in the first part of this stream. It looks like I need to tell Nightbot something, maybe my new password or something, because Twitch was hacked, so people have had to change their passwords, change all their stream keys, and so on. So Lucas Chat says, this is feeling a little bit better. D6 is still a problem though. You know, you don't want to play this move for a very simple reason in Crazyhouse, because of D6 being weak. And if you're going to push the E-pawn as well, you have to develop your somehow, this D6 is a long-term weakness. Okay, so you've given up a piece for a pawn. You've given up a piece for a pawn, and you have positional the opposite of compensation. So I'm not impressed. And Saxeter says the entry point is C7, not D6, because D6 obviously, yeah, and Saxeter is, i.e. Opperwaisen is spot on. C7 is the actual entry point. So if this, there's going to be bishop here check, and queen here check mate. So you have to block. So what's the idea here? I think the idea is to break through and get a queen on f7. Is that the idea? Don't know if that works. I don't know if we've got quite enough. So if we take pawn at e6, you never take here because otherwise bishop here is mating you. Oh, is it mating you? It's close. Bishop at e6, people are thinking about it. I think the knight is poisoned, basically. Oh, VariantsOnly is obviously a lot better than his rating. I wouldn't pay too much attention to ratings here. I'd say VariantsOnly is more likely to berserk arenas and so on. So, and he's had experience of playing a previous Crazyhouse World Championship, which 264brocc hasn't. So I would actually put VariantsOnly as a slight favourite. And Oppa says, yeah, looks good for black here. With this, so the c7 attack fizzled out, and black's now got his own attack on c2, and queen here, rook here sort of ideas, or yeah, that's the threat. But bishop at f5 check is a really good move because it defends the threat and it attacks. But that wasn't played, and now even queen takes rook, I think could even, no, not quite, because I was thinking queen takes rook and pawn here looks very close to mating. Oh, we're going to see this. Oh yeah, he can go here, I hadn't noticed. So Does he have anything like with rook here and then take to get a queen? It's all a bit hairy. Rook here, king here, then what? Yeah, opposite also said rook e1, rook e1, rook e1, king here. There's even stuff like king here check. Rookie attacker, you're too nice. Yeah, I'm not variants only, but I'm offering commentary, which is what I usually do on these wonderful players. Is there time to take on h3? Asks Lukas Schacht. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure, but that's definitely, I like, if there's no mate, then just get a queen. And the threat is knight here, checkmate. That's the, because the queen's controlling a lot of squares. And of course, if you lose the queen with check, then you're finished. Because queen here will be surely mating. Sure. Oh, ooh, ooh, ooh. And it doesn't work because you just block with a rook and then go knight here, checkmate. He blocked with the knight. I don't see the mate now. I don't believe it. Oppa thinks rook e1 was still very dangerous. You pick up the queen with check, but you have nothing else in hand. I'm thinking white's winning this now. I just don't see any checks. And this is a very smart play, pinning up some pieces. But the white king, it's very double-edged. Queen there's mate. You haven't noticed it's pinned. He missed the mate. He missed mate in 1. Cabbage, what are you doing? Cabbage missed mate in 1 against Oppa as well. And he's missed mate in 1 here. Low time for sure, but okay. Is he going to take this anyway? Knight here. Double check. Neat. And that's mate. Wow. Okay, we're going to get another Scandi. So both players, so they're sticking to some variation of their existing lines. But this is really, looks really strong for white. And I think it's worth saying at this point, white has won every game so far in this match. 4-3 to 264brocc. No, I'm not sure why he... So he had to take... Why? Oh yes, because it was a bishop. Okay, yeah, he had to take. Takes, and castles. Okay. So this pawn needs support. So maybe... Does this get played? Or just, yeah, developing the knight looks good. That looks stronger. So the natural, you want to go pawn here or pawn, and this obviously can't because of this, and this can't because of this as well. So you want to do this so that you can take back this thing. So it feels slow, but d3 and pawn at g5 would be one approach, but it just feels slow. So instead, this is being played to try and get some control over the king side. So Phoenix says, last game black should have won with the knight mate. He just missed it. So what was the... If you give me the move number, then I'll show everyone on the stream, because it's difficult to look at the current game. So I'll look at that after this game if you give me the move number. So I'm just going to just quickly back up a few moves. So he's trying to get back control of his king side with bishop g3. Nice. So black is trying to pick up some more material to continue. He's got a really good... Black's got a really good foothold in the position there, which is really annoying actually. The queen swings across the other side, very thematic. Now white's finally finishing his development, so suddenly black's got to be careful because that bishop is coming out. It's a very strong bishop. Okay, he's fallen for this fork, which is not good to fall for that. So white's quite happy. On the other hand, black is getting a pawn for h3, so black's not too unhappy, but he made probably a little bit of a mistake, losing that piece for a pawn. Rook e1 feels very slow and very dangerous because, I don't know, I'm just worried about this diagonal opening up at some point. But black just castles out of the way of any e-file danger. And we're now seeing a4, a5. Very chessy. So this, how is okay, I shouldn't have been so worried about f2 because f2 is covered after all. So at some point I should really be worried about h3, and for the now it's, yeah, it's still an idea, but the knight is protecting. If ever a move like this, maybe that's actually quite interesting. So players don't have that much material in hand. So is this going to ever be an idea? Just try and open up. Very saving from black. Doesn't want to go directly with, pawn at h3. He's just really going to just take it slow. VariantsOnly says all the bishops are on black squares. Yeah, that's a good observation. So maybe he's going to take advantage of that, do a light square attack. Oppa has a cool line in the chat about worried about exchanges on e5 and then e5 and then rook takes d1, takes f1, rook at f1, king takes f1, queen at e1 mate. Then he did castles to anticipate rook e5. Yeah, sorry, I've lost. So this is just going back to a second when he castles. Rook e5. Okay, so if people can understand that, nice. But I think Oppa was looking at these e5 ideas. Okay, so I think Cabot is being a bit too saving with his, but okay. So d5 then does come. Takes, bishop is replaced. What is going on here? Very brave from VariantsOnly, and maybe showing a good understanding. I want to open this file even if it involves giving up my queen. That's very brave. And this square seems like it's well controlled. So, and this bishop is suddenly, well, it's well defended. But what is going on here? This can't be right. Just ignoring all of the activity on this file. So, okay, what am I worried about? What I'm worried about in this kind of position are moves like queen takes rook, rook takes, and then rook on the back rank, and pawn here, if there's time to play that kind of thing. But maybe I'm just not seeing. You don't really want to go pawn here because then the king kind of slides across and is actually quite safe, possibly. I don't know, it's hard to say because this is I don't understand this position at all. That's a very painful move. Oh, we're going to see a rook land on the back rank for sure. He might just actually do this because that provides. He doesn't. Exactly, he's allowed this. Oh. And he's picked up... Okay, variants only and time pressure just being a complete boss here. He already had... I think he already had mate with the pawn and the queen. Ah, he missed it. But he already had a mate with the pawn and queen. Takes another bishop and a rook on the back rank. He missed it, but he is bossing this with only pawns and rooks. He's got to be careful. Yeah, he has to be careful. Pawn f2 is potentially mating him. What's going on here? I'm seriously worried. What? Queen and rook is mate. Queen here and rook here is mate. Or queen here and rook here is mate. What? What? Oh, yeah, but it was white's move. Was it white's move? Just back up a second. Yeah, no, it's black's move. Black. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is going to be one of those games where like both sides missed mate. So is there a mate here? Rook here, check. Blocks. Some kind of discovery. Knight takes rook, check. You pick up a rook. Okay, he's done. He's picked up a rook. Sorry, what's going on here? He suddenly saw knight f2 and was worried about knight f2. I don't see what he saw. He was worried about something. White's trying to crash through on c7. Is there anything? Okay. He's crashing through on c7. Is that dangerous? With so much oh, it's a double check. Oh, of course it's dangerous. Okay, so clearly a lot of mates were missed in that game. But at the end of it all, variants only does take it. The g3 bishop I just missed completely. And yeah, black loses again. As Veronik says. What do I do with that game? Maybe we look at that game afterwards. So what's happened differently this time? So what's happened differently this time is queen d2. So if I remember rightly, at d5 was played before, but queen d2 at d6. If queen d2 is a mouse slip, surely. Or maybe not. I just don't understand. Oh, queen d2 is defending the pawn. Okay, sorry. Apologies, being a little bit dim. Queen d2 is protecting the pawn. I don't know. I'm saying, what about pawn b2 takes and takes? And you're not... Oh, you're mated. Okay, knight here, queen here, mate. Okay, so that's what not to do. That's how to lose the game. Always good to see the ways to lose the game. Yeah, so... yeah, as Oppa said the last time, c7 is a critical weakness. If a knight lands there, or even a pawn lands there, but a knight right now is absolutely lethal, and black doesn't have time because his queen's under attack. And by the way, if just knight and a pawn, yeah, that's okay because you could take, and you're fine. So is there some sneaky threat here? So takes, queen, I don't see it. King would just sidestep. I'm not sure it is complicated, but black doesn't have enough. White's got a knight and queen in hand. How do you stop the mate? I think Ferenix's comment about last game is going to apply here too. He says Variants only loves giving away pieces for those pawn drops. Yep, seems like it. No break of serve, as Metin says. 4 games all. Okay, I like this move. That's a really nice move, because it, yeah, yeah, I just completely missed. This is a beautiful resource. So with tempo, you're defending this and castling. And then, come on, what a reply. If you just take back with the pawn, you just get castled. And okay, I think white's still winning, but takes back with the queen. And this renews, so opponent can't castle. And what's the actual mate threat? I'm trying to figure it out. With only one knight in hand. Knight, king here. There must be a mate threat, but I'm not seeing it. So queen at e7 is the problem, and if you take knight here, still this knight is defending this square, so take and hope, maybe. Again, I'm not seeing the mates. No. No, I'm still not seeing the mates. I mean, there's knight here, and just back off and say we're not mated, and white's still winning. Okay, hang on, there must be a mate here. Queen here. Yeah, queen here must be mating. And if you're checked, just sidestep. So queen here, there's no way of defending that rook, as far as I can see. So 264brocc has 100 seconds to figure out how to finish this game off. He does find it. Just sidestep, queen here. Oh, I mean, this is punishing, but yeah. Probably simpler was queen takes queen, put another queen on, but this is just punishing. That's doing it with checks. Was there anything? So what I'm wondering in this position, what was actually the mate threat if black does nothing, just so I can see it? It's knight at c7, king d8, queen at f8. I see, you put a second queen on. If you just block, then pawn here, knight takes, queen takes is mate. So takes, and if king takes knight, pawn here is mate, so you have to block. Queen takes queen, king takes, and pawn here, bishop here is mate. So that was the strategy. It was actually knight at c7, king at f8. And here, if we just brave and take the bishop, I just want to see what was the actual mate. Knight at g7, king here. Okay, so it's again this very nice back rank thing. So it's because then you have two queens controlling the e7 square. So that's what I missed in the live action. So then in this position, was there, yeah, this queen at a8 was basically the cleanest way to finish it off. So that was very nice. Let's get back to the live action. And it's variants only as white, trying to tie this series at 5-5. He's got white in the final game. Can he hold serve so that white wins every game? Rook b1, so we've seen this before. A lot of pressure. Takes, and he's losing that knight before he's castled, which is slightly different from previous games. Okay, that queen is still just about fine. Yeah, and so black seems to actually be up a piece and a pawn. What's going on here? And his queen isn't quite trapped. So I'd say black is doing quite well here. Yeah, I mean, he has this wolf set, the delayed wolf setup. Oh, the games have continued. Rook e1, so pressure on the e-file. So it's true he needs to quickly get his king somewhere safe. He doesn't have enough pieces around his king, so I'd say put pieces on. And he does. He puts a piece on with defense and attack. Nice. Okay, it gets attacked, so maybe just trade it. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. That's a nice move. Still a little bit brave. Okay, he has to go defensive. And now he wants to take the queen. But is that too risky? I think he can just take the queen. He does just take the queen. So he's up a lot of material, is black, yeah. And I think it's too much. He's trying to... white is desperate for a queen to try and make something happen. Now this is already a mate threat. So there's a real resignation, it looks like, even coming soon. Queen here is actually... It might even be eyeing up that knight. Not yet, but you've got to be careful. Okay, check, blocks, attacks the queen. Queen is still, yeah, I think this is the one mistake 264brocc. He's been too passionate about keeping that queen, but maybe he's right here, because if you do a move like queen takes bishop, knight takes bishop here, you're probably asking for trouble after queen here, king here. Probably. You know, having a queen on f8 is not really pleasant. So maybe he has good reason to hold on to that queen. Now, with knight, bishop, queen, is there anything? He needs another knight, really. It's very close to having something. So the pattern here would be something like knight here, knight takes pawn check, and queen takes pawn checkmate. This is the kind of pattern he wants to set up. He's just going for something brutal. So black should win this. He's got up so much material, but it's just a case of probably goes hunting for the knight. We said cookie crumb, so pawn here is interesting actually. Trying to protect. Yeah, knight here. Just backing off with the knight's also interesting. You can't take the queen because of that pattern I told you about. Queen here. If the king comes back, knight takes pawn. And if the king comes here, pawn here, mate. So here's the threat. The threat is simply knight f4, and if you take it, pawn here and queen g2 is mate. So this is a sneaky move. Nice play from black. Plant Eater says, I didn't understand. Yeah, pawn g2 was mate. Yeah, I was thinking pawn g2 and draw the king out, then bishop h3, then knight g4. Yeah, and I think that was mate. If we just back off a second, just let's think about this a second. So pawn g2 takes, bishop here you have to take, it's like a cookie crumb, knight here, if you're coming up you're getting mated, so you go back, then a second bishop here, and you're mated. Yeah, I mean this is pawn g2 is just obviously mating. But okay, this also looks promising. With even queen takes rook, opens up f3 and it's all going to be over. But this also is going to work. So he's keeping the king on the back rank and then he's sticking a rook on g1. Is the plan here. Queen at f1 is mate. So with the very final game, 264brocc says, I'm winning this match. And I'm going to break serve and take it 6-4. Which is very impressive. Plant Eater is the second account of Die Blaue Sau. Okay, so where did white go wrong here? Something, yeah, I think already here it's gone a little bit wrong. From, let's see. So rook b1 is apparently theory. Apparently just take a3 is quite often played. I mean, a more kind of safe approach is like queen d2 to block the pin. Let's see what's in the opening explorer. What did the top players play? Let's filter the 2200s plus. The most popular move here is just sticking a pawn on d2. Yeah, that looks pretty solid. Just sticking a pawn on d2. That's been played by All You Need Is Left, for example, and Kilileki. So yeah, so something already went a little bit wrong here. And this chasing the queen around is a good idea to get your pieces on the board, but it didn't really work here because the queen had places to go, things to do. So queen is quite happy to move if it's picking up extra material. So that's why that didn't really work. So this would have been the way, by the way, for black to lose it if you go queen takes bishop, knight takes, bishop takes, queen at f8. I thought this was a bit scary, but maybe black's okay here. But I thought it was a little bit scary. I mean, hang on a second. So there's queen takes f7 next, king here. Maybe you're okay. White only has a pawn in hand, so this is what I was. Yes, I was contemplating this, but what he did was even better, I think. Okay, so very nice player, just picks up all the material. But okay, the game we really should have a look at was. Okay, we can have a quick look at this crazy little opening and see if it makes any sense according to the engine. So takes. No, apparently this is okay. But maybe playing d6, that seems strange. Okay, so here, takes. It's like might be nice for black, but it's not very practical, is the problem. So that's what happened in this game. But so black should have been suddenly doing okay here. Yep, and this should have been mating, but what's the continuation? Rook at e1. Yeah, Opera in the chat was saying it. I was saying it on the stream. Rook at e1. And I didn't know what to do after this, and I'm blind because there's just simply rook at d1, mate in 1. But the idea of rook at d1 is you take it, you then get the queen with tempo. Rook at c1, then you put a knight on d3. Whatever you do, you're running into trouble. Like if you run away, then you just take the rook. Queen takes rook, bishop takes, and a couple of rooks are going to mate. A rook here, king here, rook here, mate. So that's one of your problems. And if you just step up, then rook at e1 takes, queen takes. So, but what else does he do? Because the queen is protecting the knight, so you need to do something like this. And what do we do now? Don't do king takes knight, then suddenly maybe you're losing because of the pawn here interposing counter check. So what is it? What's the continuation? I would never see this, but there's a queen sack apparently. Rook at c2, he can't go here, he has to go here, and then pawn at c4 is mate. That's a very brave approach, but surely there's something more obvious. Queen b1, I like that. Taking here. King c4, queen takes a2, blocks, pawn here. This would be, yeah, another way of queen c2. So that's a okay. So yeah, black did have mate that game, and then there was the crazy game. Then there was this crazy game where I think, yeah. So white looked like he was doing okay. Black has this kind of annoying outpost in his position, and a very kind of chessy, both playing a4, a5. Yeah, this felt too slow. I think I said it even when I was commentating. Black's okay here, but needs to be a bit faster. So what should he play here? G5. That's so try and G5 and then at H3 presumably. What should white have been playing here? Bishop D2. I mean, that's hard to see. Okay, so because you're thinking about this D file, so it's saying white should block the D file. Okay, so D5. This is very interesting. Takes, but so white has this. Yeah, I think I had this idea in the game. Just take on d8. So take on d8 because the idea is if you take with the rook, you get rook at a8, and if you block, you have at a7. Now, having said that, I didn't realize rook here was a problem, and then pawn at d7, and takes. Rook takes is getting you mated because of knight at a7, rook takes rook. So that's why I think, and so king takes. But okay, so this is the white king is safe for now, basically. So yeah, queen takes d8 was a very important idea, which was missed. But this still looks really beautiful, and queen takes d8 is played now. So white has mate. Hang on, so this, what's the mate here? So I thought I saw the mate here, so it was, hang on a second, we've just got, knight, we win the queen, and now we have mate. Yes, it was brilliant. So knight takes e6, excellent. No, hang on a second. Yeah, it went by too quickly, I didn't see. Because I thought we had the pawn in hand, so I saw a mate, but it was assuming I had a pawn in hand. So there is a mate, but it goes a bit differently. Queen at b8, rook at b8, then, but this is all done in time pressure. Knight takes e6, there's a pin. Just missed that. And you can even just take this. And rook at e7, king g6. Could take g7, but apparently bishop takes f7 is even better, and bishop at g6. Okay, that's maybe not the prettiest approach. What's maybe something prettier? Maybe it is. So going back to this, knight takes e6 is still mating, but what's the right approach? This is hard. Queen at a8, this, then this, and then this, and then this. Oh, that is hard. Yeah, that's hard to give up a whole queen just for fun. So this feels much more natural, but then the king here is difficult. And you have to be careful, because if you start trying to maneuver, you want a knight here to deliver checkmate. But suppose you're just being very chill about it, like this, then suddenly at f2 becomes a threat, and black is winning. So if you sidestep, your back rank becomes weak, and if you take it, I'm wondering if there's something here, basically. Yeah, so already there's something here. So yeah. So what actually happened in the game was, so white's completely winning with crazy moves. Well, they were beautiful moves, but queen a8. Okay. So the idea of queen a8 is, at the end of this sequence, you really want the king on a dark square so that you can finish him off. So that's pretty hard to see ahead. So suddenly black, yeah, just bishop takes looks infinitely safer. So king takes was crazy brave, and suddenly he's in trouble. And now black has mate. And I think I saw this mate in the game, just queen at e2, and the idea is if king takes c3, rook here check, king b2, queen takes here, and I saw it up to this point. I didn't see past this. But it's just simply here, takes is mate. And if you come the other way, then you're also mated. So that was a bad miss from Cabbage. Okay, and then suddenly king e1 is correct. And it's just difficult. Knight takes rook seems reasonable. What goes wrong? Yeah, moves like this needs to. So he is rightly worried about this knight landing here. Yeah, he's rightly worried about this. Yeah, I can look. This bishop is really threatening. So the idea of a knight landing here with discoveries is something he should absolutely be worried about. But maybe the thing to do, yeah, this is the thing. Bishop at d6, and the idea is try and deflect that bishop, because then pawn here and queen here is checkmate. Pawn here and rook here, sorry. Pawn here and rook at e1 is checkmate. That's what he should have done. Deflect the bishop, but that's hard to see. and if you take the knight, same thing. So protect that square, c7 square with a bishop is much more active defense, but that's hard to see. He did quite passive defense, and now there are two knights staring in this square, and he gets done by the smother. So beautiful finish from VariantsOnly, but pretty lucky to get that game back. Okay, hope you've enjoyed this live commentary of this match, and 264brocc, congratulations, taking the match 6-4, but every game counts, so VariantsOnly gets 4 wins under his belt, 264brocc gets 6 wins under the belt, and if I just there's some things I should, I need to type some commands into the Twitch chat. Those are some links to follow what's been going on. So that might be useful information. At some point I need to remind guys there's a stream by Zaraza on Wednesday at 6 p.m. That's something to people put down in the diaries. What else? Ganez is the one who's been streaming most of these live Crazyhouse Candidates matches, so those are his details. If you're interested in Crazyhouse streamers in general, I've just done, anytime just come to my chat and type in streamers and type in one of those commands and you'll find the details of the streamer. I need to add Zaraza into that list. Okay, and yeah, this will later be posted up on YouTube as well, so if you want to follow my YouTube, so it's easier to catch up on streams on YouTube, then that's the details. If you're interested in Crazyhouse, you might be interested also in the Crazyhouse blog, so I'll post those details as well. So okay, I've just overwhelmed you with all these links, which is probably a bit of overwhelm, but those are definitely useful resources if you haven't seen them before, and if you have seen them before, then sorry for spamming the links. But maybe there's at least one of those streamers you've never heard of before. So, like, not many people know that Maple Kev, who's a 2400 plus Crazyhouse player, has also made some YouTube videos. So not many people know that. There are a couple of people I need to add to that list. One of them is Craze, and the other one's Zaraza. So I think I made the little, yeah, that's Craze and Zaraza also need to be added to that list. Okay. Well, hope you've enjoyed the games. Congratulations to both players. Very entertaining series. This particular game was a bit topsy-turvy, going from white winning to black winning to white winning again. Thanks everyone for watching. If there's someone whom you think I should raid, then let me know. Otherwise, I'll just quickly check the people I follow, see if there's anyone who streams variants. Don't see anyone, but Lefenghua is doing some instructive rapid games. That sounds fun. So let's support the growing streamer Lefenghua. And thanks again everyone for watching. And if you check back the VOD, the first half an hour of the stream is some very entertaining stuff about cookie crumbs. So really, I highly recommend you check that out. I'm going to probably split up that part of the stream and release it separately on YouTube. So thanks everyone for watching, and have a great rest of the week.